another review episode of Just One More Fix. With me in this episode is Kurt and Lacey.
Hello.
Hey.
You can find us online at justonemorefix.com or on Twitter at JustOneMoreFix. If you like us, head over to Google Play or to iTunes and give us a rating and a comment. In this review number 5, we are going to talk about Conspiracy X. And now, it's time to get a review fix. So welcome to another review with Just One More Fix. Today we're going to talk about Conspiracy X 2.0. It's the second edition of Conspiracy X. Surprise, surprise. I know, right? So Conspiracy X is put out by Eden Studios. They are also the company that produces All Flesh Must Be Eaten, Terra Primate, the Buffy and Angel role-playing games.
Okay.
And I think those are the main ones that they have out there that I've seen. We like this game a lot. It's a lot of fun. It's basically XFiles. You play government agents from different agencies that work for a shadow group, and you investigate paranormal activity, basically.
Yeah, no, it definitely has a very X-Files feel. If you like Fringe or X-Files, this is probably the setting for you.
Right.
It's a lot less bleak than Delta Green. I do like Delta Green, don't get me wrong, but if you wanted just a little bit more hope, this might be...
Yeah, like a touch of adventure.
A touch of adventure,
I think mystery adventure would be fair to say. What do you think, Lacey? Anything?
I would classify it more as investigative than adventure. Exactly. But yeah, I mean, very much along the lines of X-Files, a sci-fi investigative game.
Right on. Okay, so the book itself it's got a full color cover. I said that right the first time for the first time. And it's about 250 pages. The artwork in it is all black and white. It's just the interior is black and white. The print quality is very nice. The pages are that slicky,
glossy.
Yeah, glossy, kind of style thing. And the artwork in it is really good. It's really thematic. There's a lot of grays, like the alien grays in it.
Yeah, just it's both grayscale and alien grays.
Yeah. But it's very thematic, and it looks like some kind of like bureaucratic manual almost in some ways. Like, that's the way it's laid out.
I think it's they're going for. It has a similar look on the inside to the Delta Green books, but without actually being Delta Green.
Right.
I feel like the artwork has a very noir kind of influence to it. Like, I look at it and I see the dark sphere movie.
Right. So each of the chapters starts off and it's got a 2-page full art kind of thing going on, and then there's lots of little pictures throughout the book, but they are all black and white, but they're all very cool and very, very different and very cool. The game itself uses the unit system. It's the same for all the Eden Studios games, the All Flesh and all that. Basically, it's 1d10 is the main die you use. There are other dice used for damage depending on what kind of weapon you're using, and it's an attribute plus skill kind of a game. So there's a difficulty 13. You roll a d10 and you add your agility plus your brawling or whatever.
Which is on a similar scale. So your attributes, it's not like you add a +1 modifier, you look it up and this sort of thing. It's straightforward. It's right there on the character sheet. So that's nice.
Yeah. So and it's all really simple math. So it's pretty straightforward. And then you're
simple math.
Yeah. Then you'd roll dice or whatever. Consult the difficulty for success or failure. Yeah, the system really itself is very straightforward. It's very clean. It's got enough crunch for it to be robust, but it's not so much to where you've got to find synergy bonuses for all this other kind of stuff going on. Yeah. So it's very straightforward. I like it's the amount of crunch that I really, at this stage of my gaming, really enjoy.
Well, it keeps it moving along. I remember in one of the episodes that we were playing in, there was a combat scene, and we had to bust out through some windows and blow up apartment buildings and things like that. And it kept it moving. I didn't feel like I was being 3D'd. Yeah, and you'd be like, okay, so this bullet flies at a trajectory of so-and-so. And
the combat with guns is pretty deadly. So, it's not...
Well, it's good.
It's not super gritty, but you don't want to get shot. That's for sure.
Yeah,
so,
It's more realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing that's interesting, it has one of what I have found to be, there's sirens going on in the background. If you guys can hear that, I'm sorry. We're out in the middle of nowhere, and usually you don't hear sirens, so I'm not sure what's happening. They know we're talking about Conspiracy X.
They're coming for us.
But like I was saying,
who are you people?
It has what I think might be my absolute favorite mechanic of any game I've ever seen.
The cards.
So in Conspiracy X, there is a component like in X-Files of psychics and that kind of stuff. And it uses in order to there's 2 ways to do the psychics powers, you can use a dice mechanic if that's what you prefer for a more clean kind of a system thing. So it's got the rules for that in the base book, and you can just roll a d10 and consult difficulty and move right along. Or you can do what I think is just the best idea ever, is it uses Zener cards. Now, if you don't know what Zener cards are and you've seen the original Ghostbusters movie when Dr. Peter Venkman is with the 2 college students.
That's Bill Murray for anybody who forgot.
And he holds
What?
up the card, and it's either the choices are circle, star, plus, square, or wavy lines, or bacon, as we've come to call them. And if you get, depending on what your psychic rating is, you get so many guesses. And if you get the guess right, then it goes off. And it is so thematically amazing. When we saw them and they showed it to me at Gen Con, I was like, this might be the coolest thing I think I've seen in a long, long time. I absolutely love it. It's so awesome.
Yeah, no, when you get it wrong, you're kind of like, this sucks. When you get it right, it's like an epic sort of win. You're just like, this is fantastic.
Well, the other thing that's cool is as your psychic abilities improve, it gets easier and easier for you to get them.
Yeah.
So it's not like, it's always, you don't get it hardly ever, but like as you improve your abilities, you do get it more often. And it's just so thematic and so like, it adds a spontaneity and an excitement to the game, some tension.
It is easy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like you need a book of charts and tables. Well, it adds a 2% bonus to your X, or did you get the wavy lines?
Right. Yeah. Bacon or no bacon. So
there's a lot of cool things built into the system that work with the Connex theme too. Just so like with your character creation, you are picking professional organizations that you're from, and that flavors the influence that you have in the world. Right. And there's a lot of choices. Basically, any government agency that you can rattle off the top of your head, you can choose to be from them.
Any 3-letter agency.
And then there's some other choices. So for those of you that have been watching Stranger Things, there's MK Ultra that you can choose to be a part of, and so lots of
Project
lots
Rasputin.
of things that add some cool
there's
flavor.
all kinds of them. They're all kind of like background packages that you buy, and they cost you so many points.
I think it's good to point out this point. You don't enter this world as a 0-level character. You don't come out and be like, oh, look, I'm a postal inspector with no power whatsoever.
You're very much an experienced agent in some organization. So you're playing Mulder and Scully. So
all these agencies that you can be part of. There's all the ones that exist in the regular world, plus a lot of the ones that are like exist like conspiracy wise, like MK Ultra and all those kind of weird things that was happening in the 60s and 70s.
Isn't Project Blue Book still in there?
Project Blue Book's in there. There's also some that they've created as well. So that it has enough of the real world stuff to draw on to make it really cool. And for research purposes or for props or things that you can look in history that those agencies have done, that's out there. But there's also stuff that you can just fabricate and just invent on your own because they've kind of given you that,
the creative license to really just get all conspiratorial.
Right. Let's see. You also, one of the other factors that's interesting about this game is you all work for an agency called Aegis, which is AEGIS, if I'm saying that right.
I don't know if it's Aegis or Aegis. Somebody please correct us. I don't know.
I'm not Latin, so
I think it's. Is it Greek?
I don't know. Either way.
Okay.
Whatever.
We're going with Aegis for purposes of simplicity.
You all work for this agency, which exists outside the government. And their job is to sort of keep the, supernatural stuff hidden and whatnot. And then there's another agency that is the main adversary to Aegis, and they exist inside the government and are sanctioned, and you're kind of working at opposite ends of each other. What makes it interesting is, so you have your individual character, but when you build your character, like Lacey said, you get access to certain resources that you can choose to spend on things. And as a group, you get to build your base of operations and all the cool things that it has, all the,
it's your bunker.
Oh yeah, it's completely James Bond, so and you get access to cool stuff. And
there's a lot of specialization you can do to kind of direct how things are going to go. So you can have if you want to be more tactical, you can have an armored tank. You can have full body armor. You can have a store of weapons. If you want to be more research based, you can have a laboratory and access to specimen collection,
mobile laboratories and stuff like that. All kinds of cool stuff. Access
first
to cool
aid
tools.
things are just almost really like limitless.
But there are limits built into the game, and I think one of the coolest things is you're playing in the real world, and you're supposed to be covert.
Right.
But you have these powers. Like the last game I played, I was a CDC epidemiologist, I think.
Yeah.
And one of the things you could do is call quarantine.
Right.
Well, you better be careful. It's cool, but you better not just be like quarantine, because it's kind of a thing.
Draws attention to you.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing,
So they have the main book, which we have here, and we have all the other 3 supplement books that come with it because I just love this game. So there's
There's an extraterrestrial, and then there's a paranormal. So if you want to go more towards the alien aspect, or if you want to go more towards the psychic and deeper mind delving sort of aspect, you can choose either of those roads, or you can mix and mingle.
Yeah, there's also the conspiracy source book, which is just what it says, like other organizations that are conspiratorial, and they actually kind of fit into both. Some of them are just mundane, mundane conspiracies with
mundane conspiracies,
mundane concerns, or mundane,
not involving aliens or psychics.
Or because
you're run of the mill conspiracies, JFK style.
Right. The paranormal source book also has some wizardly sorcery witchcraft kind of stuff in it, so it's mundane in that it's real world, like regular world stuff. All right, so inside the Conspiracies Handbook, it has my personal favorite conspiracy, which I think is amazing. It's called Puppet. It's People United for the Protection of Peaceful Extraterrestrials, which I think is just the most amazing acronym ever. And there's lots of cool things like that in there. That it's a game that is really good, but it doesn't take itself too seriously. I feel like they play into a lot of the tropes that you have. They acknowledge like the whole Roswell thing is in there quite a bit. There's a lot of the classic conspiracy things and tropes that exist in that world are pulled into this game, and I think it just thematically makes it amazing. So.
I mean, there is an implied setting, but I think they seem to present it, from what I've seen and what we've played, almost as a toolkit.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, I think it's like the way you say, like, the way it's presented is kind of like you're going to be in the States somewhere, but you could very easily play this game anywhere, essentially. It's not. It's you could even play it in a far future kind of a game where it's like a transhuman kind of a thing.
Station.
Yeah.
Global space station.
Yeah, exactly. It could be easily be moved into any of that kind of stuff. The system is pretty easily hackable. Like I said, it's got enough
future or near future.
Right.
Yeah.
It's got the mechanics are robust enough to support some other things and to be easily hackable to where it just doesn't fall apart when you change one thing.
Okay.
So what this game does well, I think, is that
it's evocative of the flavor of X-Files and Fringe and shows like that.
All that. They've really plugged into that stuff very well. And it shows with the artwork and just the way it's themed, all the different agencies and that kind of stuff. It fits into that world very well. They've done it. It's well researched and well put together, I think is fair to say.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're looking, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I would agree with that, and the flavor pieces like the Zinner cards and the organizations and everything tie back into that.
One thing about the Zinner cards before I forget is that if I have some that I got at Gen Con that are from Eden Studios, but you can buy or you can download Zinner cards off the internet for free and just print them off. Yeah, they don't have to do anything. Like it's not like it is a piece of equipment that you need for the game if you want to use that aspect of it. But it's not something that you have to go out extra and buy. You can get those off the internet for free and just print them off.
The thing that I like is that if you're in the mood for something conspiracy type, but you're not feeling quite nihilistic enough to play Delta Green, it fills that niche pretty well.
No, I agree. I feel like this is while it has shares some of the same themes as Delta Green, it is very distinctly its own thing.
Definitely, I'd give it 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, I like this game a lot. So, what do you guys think that who the game isn't for, or some of the things that you don't feel it does as well as it could?
I have with just the system that Eden Studios uses, it's almost a little too broad for me. So I love the list of organizations, but I feel like it could be a little narrower. There's almost too many choices. And the same thing when you're approaching the skill list for your character sheet, there's just almost not enough limitations. So if you don't have somebody who's used to GMing this and is able to give the people a lot more direction in character creation to say, okay, maybe rein it in, maybe be a little less specialized in your skill set so that you can cover some of these things that you're going to need, because there's really no direction on the skill set for this system. You can get oddly specific and then end up overlooking some of the things you may really need.
Can anyone drive? Is it that bad? Or I don't remember
kind
that.
of, yes.
Some of the science stuff it does with the sciences and some of the knowledge skills. It does get pretty specific, but I think it's easily fixable if you don't want to really, push that hard on it.
I just think you have to know that going into it and
Yeah.
have your GM be aware of that so they can kind of
One of
rein
the
it
things
in a
I think
little bit.
I definitely agree with you on is if you have a player who suffers from analysis paralysis, when character creation comes, there are so many organizations to choose from that it might serve you to kind of trying to funnel them into a few of them because there are a lot of choices.
Yeah.
But that's one of the features of it is it is so broad ranging that you can tell almost any kind of conspiracy story you want with it. But if you can't, if you have someone who has trouble making decisions, then you've got to kind of distill them down into something.
Now, is there an online
it's
character?
time consuming when there's that many organizations.
Yeah.
So even if you have somebody who makes decisions well, just the amount of time it takes them to read through those, especially if they're not somebody who's inherently familiar with a large list of, or if you sit down and you have a player that's like, well, I've never heard of MK Ultra. What is that?
Right.
They're going to
Yeah.
have a hard time making a character in a timely manner.
Right.
Now, was there an online character generator for this? I know a lot of places.
No, I will have to check and see.
If there is, we will put a link.
Link
to
it in the
up
show
for
notes.
you.
Yeah, I will say I've never had to use the character creation goes fast enough that we've never had to use a character generator.
Now, how long did it take? I forgot now. How long did it take us?
I think about
20 minutes?
10 or 15 minutes, I think. And then you also have
once
to...
I decided what organization I was going to be a part of, it maybe took 10 or 15
Right.
minutes.
And then the other thing is spending your resource points, for your lab kind of stuff or whatever. That can take a little bit, but really it's pretty straightforward. It's not too bad. It's a lot of point buy kind of stuff. So if you have your list of skills out there, you can kind of look through and just spend your points. So it's not too bad. The initial choices are where it's kind of difficult.
So, for time budgeting here, you're talking about what? We're going to budget an hour to make characters for a small party, or how long would you say?
It depends on how many books you have. I think on an individual, as an individual, I would probably say 15 to 20 would be a fair estimate.
Okay.
If you are familiar with the system, if you're not familiar with it,
I
it's
would
probably
say
going to
30
30,
minutes.
30
Okay.
I'd say.
All right.
And that's not including the group work to put together your, bunker or facility. That's gonna take some extra, probably
Generally-
another 15 or 20 minutes.
Generally,
to get
what
that
we
together.
do is when we play this game, one of the things that to try and get the ball rolling faster is we make characters, and then I tell them don't spend your resource points for your base of operations. Basically, we play our first session, whatever happens, and then the second session they get together as a group and then build their base. And I think that does a lot of things to make it better because one, it gets you playing faster, but also you get to know what the other characters have and who they are, so you can kind of do that as a group. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you also know what your needs are then with the GM. It's hard to go shopping, I would think, until you knew what kind of monsters you're going to...
Right. Right on. Anything else?
No, not for me. It's a lot of fun if you like conspiracy, X-Files, Fringe stuff.
I think it's great, and it's good for people that maybe, as long as you have that help with the character creation, people that maybe haven't broken into the gaming culture so much. So like with Delta Green, you have your kind of Cthulhu influence.
Mm-hmm.
This is very much, mundane with a little bit of that flavor in
Right.
there. So, if there's somebody that enjoys those, X-Files or Fringe sci-fi programs or
plug right
Stranger
into it.
Things,
Oh, yeah.
they can plug into it without too much, strain.
Right, yeah, because everybody knows about gray aliens and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I agree very much. We like this game. Yes,
Yes,
like it.
we
right. I
this
like it a
game.
lot. Right on. So Conspiracy X from Eden Studios. It's a great game. We like it a lot here. So check it out. Thanks for listening. This has been another episode of Just One More Fix. Music has been provided by Kevin MacLeod. You can find him at incompetech.com. You can find us at justonemorefix.com and follow us on Twitter at JustOneMoreFix.